turn your mic on whenever you speak. So just keep it on in front of you.
Did you hit the button, Paul?
Why not just say anything?
Well, you got to say the oath of office.
We're gonna stand anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we ready to do that? Kathy, you ready for that?
Yep, so you have your oaths in front of you.
Mhm.
So I want you to raise your right hand
Everybody stand up, please.
and read your oath as it's written in front of you.
So I. state your name,
I, Marlene
No.
Kulich, have been appointed to the office of Parks Committee member in and for the village of Liston, but have not yet entered into the duties thereof. Swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin and the Constitution of the United States, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Thank you. Kathy, do you want us to date them? Okay.
Today is the 20th. She's filling in the date. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're good.
Yeah.
Please pass your papers down to the right. Okay. Yes. Thanks.
There we go.
I'll have to catch Kelly now.
Get yourself over this.
Okay, do we have any citizens present? I didn't think so, so we will go by citizens' comments.
No one on Zoom.
Oh, anybody on Zoom? No, okay. Approval of the meeting minutes from the January 16th Park Committee meeting. Everybody a chance to kind of look over that? and-
Yeah, if we could have minutes a couple days before meeting, so
We'll have
that
to
we
get
can
it
read
out
them.
at the same time we get the agenda out.
Yeah,
The minutes will come out the same time we can
and the agenda will come out a couple days before.
get it out. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question regarding the minutes. Am I able to speak into this now?
Yeah.
Okay, in my notes, I had, okay, under the, okay, here I am. Okay, reports, B says budget and finance report in the minutes. The parks budget had $2,000 added to it for the calendar year. It was noted that $3,000 was available for park signage. Call me wrong, but I had written that we had $3,500 allocated for the park sign. So is
It's
it,
3,500.
okay, so should that be corrected then?
Yeah.
The 3,000
Yes.
should be $3,500,
Yes, it
please?
should be.
Thank you.
And the park budget also is missing the festival amount on it too.
Was the 2,000 what was reported at the meeting?
The $2,000 is the revenue
And that's what was
that was reported, and also the festival was reported. And that was excuse me for a second here. The festival budget brought in 5,609.47.
That's the full amount.
Full amount that was brought in from last year to this year.
Okay, and so the parks budget of the $2,000
Is revenue.
reported,
There's
is
two-
reported as part of the festival.
No, there's two separate accounts. There's the park revenue, which we get every year, which is 2,000. And at the end of the year, whatever isn't spent goes back into the coffers. The park festival money is rolled over every year,
Right, which is the 560947.
5609.47.
7.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Those
Thank
two
you, Jen.
corrections. Anything else? Thank you for pointing that out. I think that'll do it. Nobody else has any changes or corrections?
Nope.
So does somebody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move, Madam Chair, that the Park Committee minutes, January 16th, 2023, be approved per amendment under reports, Part B. It is to be noted that the festival budget or total amount of monies is $5,609.47. Correction was made to the park signage that it is not $3,000, it is $3,500, no cents. And current revenue stands at $2,000 even.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Correspondence. Anybody-
Yeah, I do have some correspondence. I got a letter from Kathy Knable from the Wild Ones. And she sent me, and I'm not gonna read this whole thing. If, that she sent me a whole list of things here from all different parks regarding Friends of the Park. And asked about if, we were getting a Friends of the Lisbon Community Park going. And I did have it on the last, month's budget agenda, but it did not make it to this one. So we'll have to add that. But if somebody is interested in this information, I can send you this email. She's got 7 different parks that have used that Friends of the Park. So just let me know. And I would like to put that on the, for a future agenda item.
Well, we have kind of the new business down here discussing the volunteer coordinator, so I think that's gonna.
Okay, that'll
Cover
go on
some-
there,
yeah.
fine.
Okay, any other correspondence? Nope. Okay, park supervisor report.
All right, this past month, we've been working on facility maintenance items in the parks. Got the ceiling fans installed in the shop area. Working on vehicle and equipment maintenance. Also worked on surfacing the ice rink as we could. I did attend the WPRA conference earlier this month. I've also been attending landscape and ground maintenance short courses through the UW extension. And I've been working on 2023 capital project bids and doing tree maintenance along the trails.
Awesome, thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Budget and finance.
As of right now, we have, unless Mike has gone out and spent some money, we have $2,000 in the revenue budget. We have $3,500 in the park signage. And, did we have signage on here? Yeah, we do. Thank you. And we brought in $5,609.47 over into the, revenue. And for that, I've got some, oh, I'll bring that up under Winterfest, festivals. Okay, that's it.
Great, thanks, Marlene. Adopt a road. report.
Brad?
Okay, we're on number 7 now, subcommittee reports, so Winterfest, that wasn't.
I have a question. Do we have to add discussion and necessary action underneath the subcommittee report? Not passing, but can we discuss things?
You can discuss all you want.
Okay.
It's just, well, it's a subcommittee report, so
Okay,
it's
just,
just you or somebody's giving a report.
okay, that was a question I had, wanted to make sure we follow Robert's rules perfectly. You were saying Winterfest.
Yeah, so do we want any discussion on Winterfest?
3 times and we're out, or are we gonna try for a 4th year, guys?
I have a suggestion. Maybe if we don't set a date, say we're having Winterfest, don't lock in on the date and maybe kind of play it more by ear where, if it's January and all of a sudden we're getting a ton of snow coming in the next couple weeks, probably going to be here for a while, maybe a month out or 3 weeks out, set a date then instead of setting a date in June, which
Okay.
is a crap.
That's a good idea.
It's just a thought, instead of locking a date in, just kind of keep it open.
I've got a question too. Does it make a difference on other community activities that are going on?
He needs his mic.
Uh,
Oh, yeah, if you can speak it.
Is it on? Okay.
with Winterfest, I know Sussex had a Winterfest activity going on in the middle school on that same date, but it was inside the school, so that we have activity going on. And I believe Delafield had their Winterfest that same day too. So when we pick out a date, to be aware of other close by communities that we don't get into competition with what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
I know the school didn't advertise that until a month prior. Because my daughter came home with the letter and it was a month before the event that they sent out the notification for it.
Then maybe we work it the other way too. So if we pick a date, let the schools know. So if they're gonna plan something, they don't plan it on our date. Okay, anything else on Winterfest? Sled races.
The date should read February 11th on the agenda.
That still says the 18th.
Yeah. We just love that 8. Brad, any suggestions on that?
No, whether it's done,
Did you still get a lot of scouts?
would have had a lot of stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely probably as many as the previous one we had, because it was, possibly a couple more.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll probably be excited about it as well. Making sleds and camping, so. I went over that Saturday morning to see if there was anybody coming to Winterfest that wasn't aware it was canceled there. And only one gentleman really showed up with his grandkids. And he says, well, the kids will have fun no matter what we're doing. But it was the only individual who came that I had contact with. I did about an hour from 10 to 11 who came wanting to, thinking Winterfest was. So the word must have got out effectively, or the weather just made a statement.
We do have a sign that says event canceled, right,
Yeah,
Mike?
I had put it out by the
Yeah,
ice
it was
rink, so
out.
people
It
knew
was
that
out,
they
okay.
showed up.
Ice cream, not a like fibro trip.
Yeah. Ice rink.
It's, this setup is different because you guys are out here and I feel like, you know, we're asking you questions or testifying or something. Brad, you put a lot of work into the sled race thing, right?
Sure.
I mean, you know, contacting these people and, you know, and bang, here we go. It's our third or second year in a row we come up 0. What do you think of Mike's idea? Do you think they can be flexible enough?
Well, I would think they, whatever sleds they made this year, they will just hold on to and would save.
Yeah, don't burn that cardboard. Yeah, don't recycle it,
Take it to the park, but everyone wants the cardboard.
I want the cardboard.
but, okay, so
Yeah, they would be flexible enough, as long as they didn't have another event like this weekend, they said would not work because it was this last weekend, or this last weekend would not work because of everyone having the long weekend and a lot of them would be leaving town and going away, so that, you know, weather dependent and what else for functions are happening is also, we need to work around that sort of thing.
You could have it like on Thursday night after this. big
That's right.
storm.
President's Day is always going to be the same date in February.
Right.
Which is what, the third
Monday.
Monday. So that weekend is going to be a long vacation date for school kids if their parents are going to do something too.
yeah, it's just hard to continue to organize these things and then, because we had snow, no snow, then snow. And then, and the no snow on the ground was when, of course, we had planned it. So Mike's idea is spot on. Flexibility seems to be the key moving forward.
So what kind of time frame will we look for, you know, a heads up, like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks?
I
Like,
mean,
what would be?
I
reasonable?
think you know, if we didn't have the horse lady, obviously she needs more
Yeah,
time or may have other events.
Right.
But generally, we keep it pretty simple, I feel, for this event. So it's basically just getting the word out to people. And I know Natasha does a good job updating Facebook and the website and stuff like that. So I think it's,
I don't know, has anybody contacted the schools about putting like a flyer in kids' backpacks to go home with them? Can we do that?
We do now, this was our first year that we sent things to the school.
Yeah. okay.
So we did send our flyer to the school. Can I,
Yeah.
interject?
Yeah.
on the cardboard sled races, have we thought about if we cancel it again, to still do some kind of an award for, the best, don't you have, like, yeah, right. Mhm. and judging them that way, so at least all the effort they put in they would still be able to get a ribbon or something.
Right. Sure. Sure. That could be a possibility, would be-
Yeah.
do that.
If we have our new building, it would work really well. So,
Okay. Possibility. Okay, Easter egg extravaganza.
I'm gonna pass that down to Mike.
Sure.
First of all, I'd like to thank Brad for volunteering to be our bunny in an emergency. But we have a bunny. It's, your daughter Kelly, thank you for coming, Kelly, and Tracy. It's one of our neighbors, her oldest son volunteered, Aiden is his name, volunteered to be our bunny. We have right now 10 tables. And we're coordinating everything. Troop Scout 47 is coming. Culver's Scoop is coming. So we're gonna have the Culver's thing out there. And the school bus will be out there. And I will pass out all these, because next month, before, we're gonna have lineups on who's doing what. Kelly will be gone, so I'm gonna need everybody else there.
I'll be gone too.
You're gonna be gone too? Okay. If anybody else is gonna be gone, would you let me know?
what is the school bus doing?
The school bus sits out in the front and they hand out stuff. They're table number 1. Yeah, they're looking for bus drivers, by the
That's
way.
their main objective.
Yeah.
I don't think they've been too successful.
So anyways, but, Paula here's gonna be our bunny handler. She's been appointed. Yeah.
Official bunny handler.
You're the
Okay.
official
Yeah.
bunny handler. And now, and also Paula's gonna be helping Colleen hide the eggs while she's protecting the bunny. But anyways, I'll pass that out at the next meeting. I just want you to know we have gotten that far and it's looking really good. What I will need from Paula is path flyers for the Lisbon Community Festival. We made them up last year. They were like half.
Yeah, I would have it.
And the red stuff is what I would really like on it because that's new.
Okay.
We're having a rock wall and the horse lady we moved to the Lisbon Community Festival. But I got scouts who are going to be handing those out.
Okay, cool.
I have a question. Marlene,
Yeah.
is the sheriff's department going to be one of the representatives at the Easter event?
Absolutely.
Okay,
And the sheriff is the only guy we're buying candy for. Deputy Peterson will be there. And I always put Deputy Peterson down at the end near the bunny and near the eggs. Because then if the bunny handler gets into trouble, we've only had one incident. Honest, some rowdy little boys decided to beat up the bunny and
So that
Didn't
won't
you-
work with this
didn't
one.
you go?
no, no, we like him there because he backs in and in the event he needs to
leave.
go
He's
and
the only-
help the
yeah,
community, he will leave immediately. So his squad is always parked, ready to go.
Yeah,
So he's at that end, so he can exit quickly.
right. And he's the only one allowed to drive into the park. Okay, anything else? Sorry.
I don't think so on that. So that's all on the community festival then? We're done talking about
No,
that?
that was Easter.
Oh, okay, this is. community festival.
Yeah, I know, but I need these for the Easter. We passed these out at the Easter event.
Understood, okay.
Yeah. Need these for
200,
the
you want
festival.
200?
Yeah.
Okay.
We went through 150 last year, like. We had 600 kids last year.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
I have another
Now-
question, Marlene.
Yeah.
Who is buying and paying for the candy for the officer?
Park committee.
You mean the committee or Mike?
Mike, he takes it out
So
of the
it's Mike.
budget.
Okay, so it's Mike.
Yeah, it's Mike. And it's gotta be chocolate, an extra bag for the park members.
Yep.
Yeah, good stuff.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. You'll be getting.
Okay, now we're on. community festival.
That's the one.
Okay. Okay, now community festival. So
Yes,
we'll meet again.
community festival is coming along. Awesome. As of today, I have 7 people who have signed up. 3 actually sent in their money. The other ones I talked to, and I've got to resend it out. The agreement, the festival vendor application.
You're using the new one?
Yes, we're using the new one. Thank you for
Yeah.
sending that.
You want PDF you needed?
Yeah, whatever it is, so
It's in PDF.
nothing.
Okay.
Need that, I heard back from the.
Oh, you did? Are they gonna be a
Nancy?
crafter?
No, she just wants to have a table or a booth so that they can hand out their.
Yeah, a vendor.
She'll be a vendor. Well, yeah.
And she was also asking, because you had me send a message out to see if we could get volunteers to work at the kids' games.
Oh,
and the
yes,
bouncy houses and
yes.
stuff. So she was gonna ask the junior optimists about that. But she's also asking, is there an age requirement? Because most of these kids are high school.
That's fine. Yeah, I think what we did with the Optimist Club is they were not a vendor. We had their table right next to the bouncy house. Because we do need handlers for the bouncy house. And then they just sat there and then they handed out to people their stuff. Because they were performing a service. So that, I think that's how we handled
She
it.
said they had a meeting last,
Okay.
maybe Friday.
And I will put that down on my list. Thank you very much.
Yeah, she said this, she sent me this, it's not a date on it, Tuesday last week. They must have had a meeting last Monday. It was decided they would like to have a table / booth. It would just be their membership promotional literature.
That's fine.
And then she was gonna ask the junior optimists if they can help with the kids' games.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Okey dokey. Capital Beer in Sussex is giving us all the beer free and the seltzer. So we will have that. And Paula and I are going to be there selling. And Doug Brom is handling the car show with Joe DiStefano. We have Fender Bender is our band. Thank you. I'm reading ahead. We're going to ask for food again. The food we have right now, we have 3 different vendors for the food, and they're all kind of going like this. Danette is handling that with me. And we're going to see who gives us what, and then decide and bring it to a meeting when it gets closer. Heartland Inflatables has been contacted. Balloon Joke Shop has been contacted. Historical Society will be coming. We're gonna have new this year, rock climbing wall. The sheriff again, we're gonna have the sheriff's auxiliary there, the citizens auxiliary. And the sheriff Panis will be stopping in now and then. We're also gonna have the bus company face painting. And Mike's got to order the patés. And I think everything is pretty much on the up and going. And we may even have some help, talking about help here too, from Arrowhead. So we're doing really good with that. So the main work is over with the festival. It's just getting everything together now. Okay, anything else on the festival from anybody?
Want information on the inflatables? Cause I got the quotes from the guy from. the
Yeah, can you
inflatables.
send it to me? Okay. And then I'm gonna have that all together for the next meeting or the meeting after.
I just wanted to clarify something too. Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay. So the hours of the community festival are from 11 until 4, is that correct?
Correct.
And then because we didn't have the horse sleigh rides for Winterfest, we added an hour.
Yeah.
Mary Jane is able to be with us from noon until 4. that
Yeah.
4? Yeah, noon until 4. And so she did submit a contract, I believe, today.
You got
Um,
that?
And so we had the monies for that.
Yeah.
And so there will be a lot of activities on the rock wall as well as,
Yeah.
the horse wagon rides.
And I will have all the contracts and everything in a file, and I'll get them to Paula. And you can forward them to when the checks have to be made and how much the checks are and all that stuff. I was working on Easter mainly. But we got the money. It was the main thing.
And on the contract, Kathy, she still has it listed that it is between her and the town of Lisbon. So she needs to
Oh.
correct that.
Yeah.
Do you want to contact her, Marlene, and have a new corrected version of a contract
Yeah.
that comes? Because that
She
I
answers
took a
my
picture, it's on
call.
my phone, but that was the only thing that I noted that should be
Okay.
changed. Still says town.
I still see town of Lisbon when I'm talking to stuff. Okay, okay, Doc. That's it. Anything else on community? No? No? Okay.
Okay, unfinished business from last meeting is discussion on transmission line grant 2023.
Okay, I went onto the grant site again and it is still not up there. I was told it'll probably be a month or two before it gets up. And if I do have the two numbers of the people to call. And so then once we do that, then I'll make sure it gets, I'll let you know to get it on the agenda. So we can talk about it.
So that's just put off till next time.
Yeah, I was hoping there'd be something on there, but it's not yet.
Okay. All right, moving ahead to new business. So discussion and necessary action on the community park East Garden rework and recommendation to the village board. So do we have a plan for that or?
We got plenty of cardboard. What is Mike, what's your guy's name?
Jeff.
Jeff came today and filled the back of his truck up. And Kelly has been wonderful in getting me cardboard. It's all out of my garage now in the shed. So, but those park areas are quite big. And it's called, the Wild Ones was the one who came up with the idea. And they hit a snag, and Paula maybe could look into this. The Wild Ones attorney and the town attorney, being typical attorneys, could not see eye to eye. And if you could check the status of that, because,
Well, I can give you that status.
Oh,
if you'd like to. talk to
yeah,
me about
just
it.
let me, yeah, because they were working on the John Brighton thing too. Yeah,
As staff, I can help you with that.
okay. Did you get something or?
So our problem is that the attorney believes that because they're a volunteer group, they don't have to take any liability. And our attorney says we can't have people coming in and doing work for us and us taking 100% liability. And that was where the problem stopped. That's where it stopped. So we have not received anything new from Wild One's attorney. He had asked me to contact our attorney and let him know that, and our attorney says he's not changing his mind and leaving us open for a lawsuit if something is not complete or somebody gets hurt on what's not complete. So
Can't it just be a
it's
waiver
just
for
something
them
that-
or something?
something that the attorneys need to discuss themselves, between themselves. And
So the two attorneys got to talk.
Right. So
Okay,
I will facilitate that.
okay. Oh, if you could let me know then. So.
Yeah.
As staff, I'll take care of that, Paula.
Okay, yeah.
That's kind of that's my position.
Yeah,
I'm the-
but I
on the committee.
tell Paula when you talk to her, then she can let me know, because I talked to the Wild Ones. And they had come up with a couple other ideas, but didn't know what they should do because they hadn't heard from anybody.
Right,
So they
because
called
they're
me.
waiting on their.
Yeah,
we're waiting on
so
their
we gotta
attorney.
put a fire under two attorneys. How about a bomb?
Remember, you're being recorded.
I know, I'm being naughty.
Well, I'm,
Als-
Marlene, I think it's great that this organization wants to help us. I
Right.
mean, it's hard to say no to that. It's hard not to accept, their donation of time and their expertise, their identification
Mhm.
of things that are not native, that are invasive, et cetera. I really hope that we can come to, terms.
Yeah,
Because again, that would really beautify the park and it would be very helpful to have them. I mean,
Right.
I don't want to lose the wild ones.
no, absolutely.
Lisa was at the last meeting. I think she was very informative. So was Kathy and Ray. Again, it's just sad that a legal issue, liability would wash that out.
Yeah. Because they want to do help with the cardboard chip thing. They want to help with the John Grayton thing.
Right.
And
right.
there's a $30,000 grant that couldn't be, would
I
like to be
understand.
pursued this fall for
Yep.
next year.
I understand.
So,
And it's the same thing too. Kathy was saying she would help. I'm not a grant person. Okay, I don't know if anybody else was. John Helber was our grant guy. He was awesome. But when we go to this transmission thing too, once we get that far, I'm hoping that this attorney thing will be settled. Because like you said, she's awesome, absolutely awesome. Anything else on that? I'll shut up.
be quiet. Madam Chair, if I can say,
Absolutely.
we have to, be cognizant of any kind of work that is being considered for our parks, that our park superintendent is in favor of it and can continue maintaining something that's done. We don't want to build something that in 2 years needs to be scrapped because we don't have the time or money to maintain something. So it's very important that I believe my staff can understand what needs to be done and what priorities are done in the parks.
When we did meet with the Wild Ones, Mike was with us. And we talked about what had to be done. And Mike didn't say anything like, they're very plain, they're very basic. It's nothing, and that's why the Friends of the Park, we want to get that going to help. Once it's done, Friends can take over.
Right, I'm just making
Yeah.
a statement that my park supervisor has to
Mike
time.
is right.
and find time for his staff to be able to do that. We only have a very limited amount of park staff, and it's wonderful that we get volunteers, but we also have to understand that when those volunteers disappear, are we going to be able to keep it up without added costs from the village? So it's something to keep in mind when we're looking at projects.
But yeah, I'm always talking to Mike.
Okay, when we get a little farther down, we'll have the scope of the project. We'll all be able to put it
Oh,
out
yeah.
there and see exactly what it entails.
All projects will be brought before the board and to Mike. Yeah.
Okay, discussion on budget for 24 Festival, Winterfest and Easter Extravaganza.
I went over the last 3 years' budget. And I want to thank Ed, who's that, right next to me. I want to thank Ed for going out and getting donations every year. On the average, they're about $2,000-3,000 a year. The year we had Heritage Weekend, the baskets brought us in a tremendous amount of money. It was like $3 grand. Ed has said last year was very difficult going out. And he did get the money for the park sign. But there is no money being brought in anymore with heavy donations that we can run the festival, which has been run for the last, since we've had it 10 years at no cost to the town. At this time and point for this year, we brought the 5609 back down from the festival budget. Now, I'm not talking about the $2,000 budget. I will in a minute. But on the average, our budget has been, say, 55, 7, and 57 for the last 3 years. The money that has been brought down.
Can you repeat that, please?
In 2021, the festival budget, we had 5,472. I'm not going to give you all the pennies.
That's fine.
In 2022, the budget, festival budget brought down was 7,110. That's because we got so much in donations. And this year we brought down in 2023, we have 5609. Our expenses for every year have been about, say, 2,400, 3,000, and of course this year, nothing yet. But the donations have gone way down. In 21, they were 2,233. Last year was 1,467, and this year's to date, we have nothing. The budget that we get, the revenue budget, is the $2,000 that we get from the town every year. And in 2021, we had $10.68 remaining. Last year, we had $4.89 remaining, and this year, of course, we don't have it. I wanted to throw out something of, because I don't know how that works with the village, Kathy would know that, but to have just a festival budget, money that could be rolled over. We do have money coming in, and last year, I'm just gonna last year, the crafters bought in 260. The beer was $728. Car show was $479. So we brought in about $1,500 in revenue just from those three things last year. So if we figure approximately the same thing for this year, we are good for this year's festival. As far as having monies that are left, I did make a kind of budget up, and these are just quote unquote general numbers. I know porta potties, I put 900.
Probably a good number.
About right. Okay, I figured total expenses for this year are 4,400. And if we subtract that from the 5609, we have 1209 left, but that is not including and I call them donations, the crafters, the beer sales, and the car show. I just use the word donations. So we're good for this year to run the festival at no cost again to the town. But I'm worried about after this year, and the budget comes in, Kathy, in August?
We complete the budget, in
October, but you start gathering stuff. And I just wanted to put this bug in your ear. If that revenue budget of 2,000 should be combined into a festival budget, which can be rolled over. The revenue budget can't, that goes back. The festival budget gets rolled over.
Okay. So, if you want to get into budgeting,
Just,
we
just-
want to, so the budget numbers that you gave me, the expenses, the 24 and the 3,000, is that for just the community festival? Or is that for all festivals? I would say that our first start would be to take a look at all of our events and come up with a budget for each one of those events. And then you need to stay within that budget.
well,
And then what I need to do is make sure that we get revenue to cover our budget. And so how I would get that revenue, I would like to take that off the shoulders of the committee altogether. And move that, to the office and to the board, so.
I have
would not be
the
a-
revenue budget for 21. We had the 9/11 thing, which the park committee paid for. Winterfest, we didn't have. The Easter egg hunt and miscellaneous, the total came to 1,979. In 22, the revenue budget, Easter was 750.
But you're talking about the revenue budget. I'm
Revenue budget.
confused about what the revenue budget is.
Right.
So
You were talking
I'm
about,
talking about the festival. You have to take your festivals all together.
well,
From the cost of all of your expenses for Winterfest, all of your expenses for,
all
that's
you
what
have,
we would need when we
right.
start putting together a budget. We'd need to have all of the expenditures for each item.
I have
And
that
then I would know that
right here, which I
uh,
can send to you.
it would be we would want to put a budget together in summer. We would want to put a budget, a 2024 budget
Mhm.
together. And to do that, we would want to get an idea of approximately how much we're going to spend for each event. And then that is would be our festival budget, our festival expenses. And then I would take it from there.
Yeah, and I do have that broken
So-
down on here, Kathy. For you.
I just,
Um,
yeah,
So I can.
like I said, okay, you want to show me what the past is? Is
Yeah,
what
I
you
have
wanna
that
show me?
broken
Okay.
down.
I'm thinking when we start working in June,
Yeah.
July for future 2024, what we're gonna want to do is actually forecast how much we want to spend for each of our.
And
events, that's it.
it's been wildly varied the last couple of years. I think this year, once we get through Easter and the June festival, we'll have it better, then we'll have 3 years back.
Mhm.
It's like I say, 1 year we paid for 9/11. That was a one-time thing. That was $600. Then we didn't have Winterfest, so that fell through. But we've gone from anywhere from 360 for Winterfest and Easter to 749.
So of the 5609 that you have, actually, you have 7609. If you're taking what was rolled over plus the $2,000
Plus.
from the village.
Right.
So you have 7609 for 2023.
For 2020,
for
23, yeah.
2023. So of that budget, you're gonna spend some of that on now the Easter,
Right?
and then you'll spend some for the community festival,
Correct.
and then it all drops. There's no rollover. It all drops back into the general
Except-
fund.
Except for the festival.
Well, what I'm trying to do
Oh.
is change that.
Yeah,
So I
but,
wanted
okay,
to, I'm saying we should drop it back into general fund. And then when we do the budget, when the village board approves the budget, they will have a festival amount for your
Everything.
expenses. And then we would have to have the revenue to cover our expenses.
Mhm.
But it's not, whatever you make on the community festival would go back into the general fund coffers. And so there is no rollover.
Okay,
there
not
would be no
after
rollover.
2024.
Right.
Okay,
So for 24, when we start looking at a budget, we want to really do a true budget. This is what we're coming to the board with. These are our expenses for our 3 events, and that's what we would need to be able to afford the events. That would be my suggestion anyways.
Mhm.
That would make it real clear. And then we wouldn't be trying to, this committee wouldn't be trying to come up with the money in the middle of the year to cover our
That's why I
budgets,
brought
and
it up this
We
year.
don't want
Yeah.
to be doing that. We want to make sure that
Nope,
the beginning of the year, we've got all the funds we need for the year for
Yeah.
festivals. And then whatever we make during that will go back into the
mhm.
general fund, and then they will allot for 2025 and so on.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up now, is to let you know that was my thought, what we're doing, because like Ed said, people aren't giving us
Think-
$2,000,
I think we're
$1,000.
on the same page.
Yeah.
I think we were, and we didn't speak about this, believe it or not, and we're both on the same page. So I think I could see the writing on the wall that donations were difficult for the committee to come
Yeah.
in. And that trying to figure out what was this rollover amount, and then what the village board gave you would give you every year.
Yeah,
Is more confusing than if we just
well,
run a budget just like we run every other budget. in
yeah,
town.
it wasn't confusing up till now. What's happening now is there's no donation money coming in for the festival. The way it looks right now, we would probably have, we'd have $1,200 left in the festival fund this year, plus whatever the crafters beer sales come in. And like I said, last year,
Yeah, it
that
was
amount,
1,500.
that amount was, where'd it go?
Do we want to forego donations at volume, or are we gonna stop doing that?
If there's something special, like Ed went out and got the money for the community park directional sign,
Mhm.
got $3,500.
Yeah.
And,
we really
I
had to
would
beat the
think for
pavement to
something
get that, too.
special.
You had to work hard to get that.
Oh, yeah,
It's not just like one person wrote
no,
the check.
right, Ed?
So,
What is your
Yes.
thought, Ed? Since you've been there doing it.
Kathy, thank you, and Marlene, thank you. It has gotten, asking for money has gotten more complex, if nothing else, because of two major factors. One would be COVID, and the other would be inflation. And in talking to our corporate sponsors over the last 8 to, let's say, 12 months, that was a major factor in their discussions. And this can be any of our sand and gravel operations in the town or other businesses. If, as we look forward as a now village, as you have just been discussing, that we can update our process, because basically we have a festival. We started with Heritage Fest.
Mhm.
The background would be, we had Heritage Fest for approximately 10 years until it played itself out.
Mhm.
And so that's when I started getting into fundraising and started basically asking various entities within the town if they would contribute, and I would specifically say, here's what it's gonna go for. Well, we have added, obviously the Easter egg thing used to be mainly a cooperation with Sussex. That morphed and changed. Winterfest happened. Heritage died, now Community Fest. So we had different festivals we had to raise for, as you know.
Mhm.
But with COVID and with post-COVID and now with the economic situation, realities of inflation, that has really put a crimp on fundraising, I believe. Not just for the village.
Right.
So if in the future, through your office and through the board, there can be a coordinated way to make this more efficient
Yep.
than me just going out like some, peddling something on the street,
Right.
that would be very much appreciated.
And I can
Okay?
take care of that.
Yeah. I mean, one of our major corporate contributors, I have not, to my fault, have not kept a record, but I would estimate that they are 20 to 25K money to the town for various festivals over the years. And plus 10K they gave us for a program when, at the time, John Greiten was park superintendent. But anyway, thank you for both Marlene and Kathy for looking at this situation, because obviously money is important, how it's raised is important, and the budget's important.
Mhm.
And I assume that the new board will want to, cross their Ts, dot their Is down the road. So, yeah. No. So that's on that.
And thank you, Ed, for doing all that for many, many years.
Well, I'm free now, so I can cause trouble in other places.
Okay.
So,
Done.
done.
Okay, so now we're on item C, discussion and necessary action. There was no action on the, okay,
Community garden.
yeah.
No action.
Yeah, community park directional sign and recommendation to the village board of the same, so.
Mike,
Mike,
Did get quotes for the sign, with additional lumber.
You have your thing on?
Sorry, with the additional lumber and paint and whatnot, it would be right at the $2,000 number for the sign.
do you have other signs that you can replace with the extra money? That's left?
That's something we wanted to look at. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of the signs at the park still say Town of Lisbon on them. Obviously, they should be updated. I know like the shelter at now Village Hall, that one still says Town Hall Shelter. It's been, Jane Stadler Memorial Park. So there's plenty of signs around the parks that do need to be updated. So that would be my one suggestion. Use the additional funds.
Right? This new price that you have is the change of sign material, correct?
correct.
From that foam one to an aluminum one?
Correct. So that's where the big cost savings was from that original quote, and it is a different supplier. The lady we have been working with, she can't get a more durable material.
Mhm.
So this one we found is a lot more durable. So
At least if Ed's guys, ask them, it's still being used for signage.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
definitely use it for signage.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to item D, discussion on a volunteer coordinator. So this, we had talked about this kind of the Friends of the Park
Mhm.
volunteer coordinator. Somebody that has, and the way I looked at this was, somebody who has like younger kids generally is good because you get families that are involved and kids want to do stuff too. But somebody to kind of maintain a list of volunteers to do the work in the parks, work the festival, do those kinds of things. So, anybody have any thoughts on that? Having somebody specifically who would be our volunteer coordinator?
My thought would be, Paula, I would definitely want to correspond or to talk to Mike and to Kathy, because the word volunteer is always, has dynamite written all over it. But, they still, he or she would still have to have definitions as to what we would expect
Absolutely,
this person to do.
right, and we would.
In other
we
words,
would-
what's their
we would break that.
responsibilities?
As soon as we know if this is something you want to pursue, then we can get into the more detail. I mean, if everybody's like, not me, not doing, that's kind of, I want to see if there's any kind of, will that anybody thinks that that's something that would be beneficial for us to have somebody to actually be the coordinator, because Marlene seems to do like everything right now.
Yeah.
Always about to nominate Marlene.
I was just gonna
Thanks,
say,
Paul.
if I could get, your wife Karen said she would be interested in doing it. No, if she would be interested, and maybe I could get somebody else from the committee, get like 2 or 3 people that we could coordinate it as, as a mini group. Yeah, I know Karen goes out there and there's plenty of gals out there now who are out there weeding. And I think if we can get something going, trying to get scouts going over the summer months, they're scattered hither yonder, right? And so I said, I wouldn't mind looking into it. I got all this information from Kathy. Like I say, if somebody would want to do this with me, then add Colleen.
We had a
So-
discussion earlier and Kathy was very poignant on that. Yeah, park committee. If you choose a voluntary coordinator, we've had the propensity as a committee to overassign and overestimate what we're capable of doing. And I am perpetually tired of that. Of course, I am not a champion because I have not stepped up and I feel I've stepped back.
Well, I'm not a chair anymore, so I don't have to run the meeting, so I
But-
just have to.
If you have you don't want the coordinator galloping off and saying, we can do this, we can do that, that it conflicts with what the personnel that are paid are doing, or that they overestimate what they can do. It would be like me sitting here tonight and saying, I will in 6 months have all the buckthorn cleared out of Community Park. The heck I will. Okay, so, just be careful. All right,
I'm
Because-
just gonna nominate you.
Madam Chair.
when Karen so kindly was working on the entrance sign to Community Park, because I caught her one day, I said, what the heck are you doing? And she was weeding it. Well, as we all know, if we maintain a yard, that's hard enough. Let going outside of your own yard and weeding something else. So, and yes, I might, depending on how my bod holds up, who knows? I might be available.
Well,
But anyway,
I think to your point, Ed, I think we need more definition and a more structure to look at here. I just really
Yeah.
wanted to throw it out to see if this is something that, was even worth pursuing at this point.
yeah, I would say at this point, I don't want, I would not kill it. I think it's a good idea. I mean, Friends of the Parks, the Friends of the Parks have been around for decades. But again, who's responsible for what? Not stepping on toes and not overestimating what one can do. Because I unfortunately am not getting any younger and I know my limitations, or I think I do.
I definitely think it should be pursued after walking through the park. And we kind of smudged on the recommendation about the cardboard on the East Garden rework. we got off on attorney stuff.
Yeah, I got
no
action.
When we walked through the park and Kathy and Ray and Mike and Danette were there and, we saw the sad state of the John Grayton Memorial. And it wasn't really until Kathy said, that bush is half dead. I think Danette took it home with her.
I did.
And, you know, you walk past, you say, oh, look at the beautiful prairie. The prairie is not beautiful. The prairie is full of,
Invasive plants that
And-
are in there
and-
and, you know, we want to put native things back in. But again, there's that liability. I guess my concern is this volunteer coordinator. You know, where's the liability with that person too? And then the umbrella, all the people who are working under that volunteer coordinator. I think that needs to be clarified again with the
you gotta
attorney.
get-
And just, you know, have a job description and parameters and,
and it would be the same thing with
Waivers.
the attorneys.
yeah, because
The attorney's got to get it squared away and say, okay, if somebody says, I want to have a Friends of the Park. Now, do we have to go to the attorneys and to the town attorney to get this cleared?
or is there a form that volunteers would sign? You just sign off on and say, okay, I'm here to help, you know, I won't hold it, you know, I'm sure it'll be a legal document with the verbiage from the attorney stating, so someone would sign this and say, yes, if I step on a nail, I'll go get my own tetanus shot. I'm not going to hold the town or the village responsible.
That's exactly what the village of Sussex did for the master gardeners that Karen is part of the program.
Okay,
There's about a half a dozen master gardeners that work in Sussex and they all have to sign
Mhm.
waivers. and
Mhm.
master
Yeah.
gardeners, because Part of the UW extension, they have the liability coverage.
correct.
The UW does, right?
Yeah, I
Right.
think before we can pursue any of that, that attorney stuff's got to be squared away. Yeah, I agree
So-
with you, Paul.
Madam Chair?
Now I did get a whole pile, like I say, from Kelly, the cardboard. And the thing would be is you,
I was just gonna say we're going
Kinda
back. to-
jumping.
well, we kind of got into attorneys.
Okay,
got the
so
cardboard.
so we'll bring the volunteer coordinating thing up again. We'll do a little bit
Let's-
more work on it.
Let's
and bring
put
it
it on
back.
the agenda for
Yeah.
next month.
That's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody last comments on that super quick before we move on? No. Now, did we
So-
want to go back to item A? Kathy, do we need to go back and do anything since we said
I just put down no action.
no action?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have to say we'll get the attorneys together and get,
Yes.
and it's
agreed.
not just for the wild ones, it's for every organization that comes to the
It's
town and
the,
says, we want to help, we want to give our expertise.
Yeah.
And then it's settled. Here's what you got to do.
Agreed. Okay.
so,
Go ahead.
so, I put no action on A mostly because we don't have a plan in place and.
We do.
Can't bring anything. Hold on.
Yeah, we do. Okay, I'm sorry, finish. We can bring it up next
And
month.
we need to have our supervisor, our park supervisor to agree that that's what he wants done.
He
in
did,
our
he
park.
was there.
And so, okay, okay. And so I want it more formal is all I'm saying. We need something much more formal if we're bringing it to the board. And so I don't want to just come in and say, well, Mike said it's okay. I've got to have Mike weigh in and we have to write a recommendation. We've got to have because you're a recommending body now, you need to make a motion and recommend it to the board. And then Paula has to sell it to the board that this was our recommendation.
Mhm.
So we need something much more formal than what we've got right now. That's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
When it comes to the volunteer coordinator,
Okay. Go ahead.
um,
Yep.
I'll put that back on the agenda for next, that's Paula, that's what you want on there?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
And then on D, the volunteer coordinator, I do have municipalities that are willing to that have rec departments that can meet with one of our whoever ends up being a volunteer coordinator. And they can kind of walk through what they've done to get the number of volunteers they have. If you take a look at what we have here is, we have the scouts that come in but otherwise you guys are our main volunteers and we need to, you take a look at Sussex and they have, 40, 50 people out there working on something and
Mhm.
we've got to have a way to do that. And I think if we, put together a volunteer coordinator in the sense, get the position in a good place that in the future that will end up being a parks employee in the future.
Mhm.
But we have to show that works for us to have a coordinator and then you can say, I need so many people for this festival and that coordinator would go out and take care of that and find you that information. So that's the idea, is kind of to work with other departments. Brad, you must come into that. You work with other people. It's not just your one committee that's doing all this work.
We have a volunteer coordinator.
Right. So same kind of idea. Yeah. Okay. That's kind of what I was thinking when you guys were talking about it.
Mhm.
That's what came to my mind was something that other municipalities have done and we might be able to learn from them if we get somebody that wants to do that kind of work.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Moving in. Anybody have any other things that they want to include on a future agenda?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now that we're in a more formal scenario here, very interesting. The way this has played out tonight and well done to all involved. I could be wrong, but in general, parks departments are not good revenue generators for towns or villages or cities. They tend to take in, well, obviously they're for recreational purposes. Community park, what I'm concerned about when everyone that's seated here this evening may no longer be with the village, where we have a new board. Community park, of course, was set up in the early 1980s to be both an environmental park and to be a recreational park. And down the road, I would like to possibly come up with a simple statement that will let future boards know, village boards know, that community park at least should maintain the character as it was designated in the 1980s to continue. Because there are areas that are prairie, and yes, admittedly, those prairies are not perfect, but I don't think under our current budget situations, we're going to get perfect prairie. We're just not going to get there. But those prairie areas in community park, many of them are very level and would make excellent at today's scenarios. Volleyball, soccer fields, you can see where I'm going with that.
Baseball fields. Mhm.
Yes. And of course, that would be not revenue neutral, it'd be revenue positive. So realizing we have other parks that are not ecological, they are basically biological deserts. They're grass and a few trees, but they provide recreational opportunities because that's always been a conflict. Do you have a park? How do you set up a park to meet all expectations, especially as complex as our society has become? So in a nutshell, I'd like to allow us to preserve the prairie within community park moving forward. And it could be a motion that could go to the full board, that the full board would then approve.
That's the process.
Yes.
I-
Yeah, I am just, well, I've obviously already expressed my concerns, so, because who knows what will happen? But anyway, Paula, if that,
Mhm.
I know I said a lot, but in a nutshell, if that could go as an item, as a line item on the agenda for, come on, Ed, our March meeting.
Mhm. Yep, we'll put it on, yeah.
Okay,
I only have two things. I was going through all my files and I found the memorial bench form and the memorial tree form, which should be reworked. They do have the town of Lisbon on them, and I don't know if the prices for the benches should be updated. We did have quite a few of them that were out, and I know, we had some companies that, I think Kirby was one of them that, gave us information for the benches, but maybe that should be updated. And also the same thing for the memorial tree program, that should be updated.
I'll bring information.
Does that need
as
to go
soon
on the
as-
agenda?
Doesn't need to go on the agenda,
Okay,
but I have put that down as a to-do in the
Yeah.
future. It's not gonna be next month, so.
I don't think
Yep.
we'll need benches in March,
But we'll,
just
we'll
something
work,
I had
we're
come across.
reworking
and-
all our forms, so I'll put that in as
Yeah.
two forms that need to be reworked. And then I'll work
That's
with
all
you
I
on
have
it.
to say.
Anybody else?
Yes, I have three different things. I'll try and be real brief. Okay, the first one is, obviously tonight is different. Marlene is no longer the chairperson. This is true. And so Paula, you are, what is your title now? Or how are we? I mean, fill me in here. Like we all come in now, we have these name placards and,
Well, we're,
we have restructured the park committee.
Yes,
But
yes.
we haven't talked about that. So I guess I'm just wondering, Marlene is no longer the chair. You're the chair of the committee now? Okay, you're the chair. Those of us up here are considered what versus those three over there? No, I'm just curious, because
Well-
it's just different, and, we hadn't discussed that this would happen, so I'm just curious.
yeah,
Um,
it's the same group.
Okay.
There's, well, and there's two alternates. Paul and Colleen are alternates.
Alternates, okay,
Everybody else is a member.
okay,
And, so that's basically the difference. So when we signed the village, charter, all of the committees now have a village trustee as the chair of the committees.
Right.
I
that's-
see,
yeah,
okay, thank
so
you,
yeah.
thank you, Paul.
Yep.
Second one, I'll be quick. In the past, we've had a plan commission report from Ed, and we didn't have that. Is that no longer a part of park committee hearing what the plan commission is doing so we can discuss the new subdivisions and green space, et cetera, et cetera?
And, when I work with the park supervisor on
Mm-hmm.
his report, he will update if there is anything in the plan commission that came out of the plan commission, I would update him. He would put it in his report to you. Because
Okay,
his report
okay,
will
good.
change a bit to the board.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right, because on this original agenda, it was still said plan commission report, but then it's not on this one. So plan
Right.
commission report is no longer a part of these meetings.
Right,
Just
it'll
what
be
you
part
said,
of,
it's that.
it'll be part
Okay.
of the parks supervisor's report.
Okay, thank you. And then the third thing, in the past, well, maybe we'll still do this. We have these Lisbon Parks Committee thank you cards that were printed with donations from one of the companies that Ed solicited from. And it says the Parks Committee thanks you for your generous support. Do you still want to keep these as a part of the park committee? And I've been doing the thank you notes for about 3 years. I brought them in and I'm happy to acquiesce that to someone else tonight. But again, you needed to see that. That's
Yeah.
also part of the
That's very
past.
useful.
So,
Yeah, I think, hold on to them.
Yeah, for sure.
so there's that. So, I would like to, give up the thank you note writing. So I brought them in and I don't know what we do with them.
I see what's happening here.
So anyway, just for what it's worth, but thank you for letting me address those three things, the restructure, add part of plan commission, and then these notes. And lastly, could I just please then thank Marlene, Marlene Kumich, you've been the face of the park board, the park committee. I know we renamed for so many years, and I would just like to say thank you on behalf of the board and the committee and the town and the village. Thank you.
And she's still going to be involved.
Indeed, and I'm happy
Very
about that.
involved.
Very involved, yes. But
Yeah.
thank you for what you've done, sharing all of this for all those years. Thank you, Marvin.
I just wanted to add on to Danette's thing, those thank you cards to me are extremely important that it continue, because no matter, anybody who came or donated or showed up, the vendors, everybody got a thank you. And I think it's very important because, you know, when I call people, you get a totally different response when somebody says thank you.
Oh, yeah. And a
So-
handwritten note goes a long way.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody in the committee always signed them. So
All right, well, we'll
that's my 2 cents.
figure out how to do
Okay,
that.
so, can I continue on
Yes,
what
please
Jeanette
do.
was talking about?
Yeah.
So, our meetings have been changed as well. So all future meetings will be on Wednesday. The second Wednesday of the month, starting at 5 o'clock. They'll go from 5 to 6. They'll be at the town hall or village hall, sorry. At the village hall from 5 to 6. So it's the second Wednesday of the month. And that will also be on Zoom, and it will, and right after that starts the village board meeting. So shortly after that at 6:30. So it's gonna start, March 8th will be our next, Parks Committee meeting. It'll be 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock at the village hall.
Now, this meeting ran over by 10 minutes. At 6 o'clock, did we say, turn everything off?
6:30, we start our.
We start our
So
meeting
we
at
do
6:30,
have-
so we
We
want,
have a little bit.
we've got a little bit, but we don't wanna push it too hard because we want to get prepped for the next meeting too, so. Yeah, I gave you a little leeway, 'cause-
And I'll get better at this.
You're doing awesome, kiddo. You're doing awesome.
Keep it smooth.
so I think that's all the housekeeping type items that I think we needed for tonight.
Does anybody have any questions or?
Any concerns about the times and dates?
No,
If
just that
that's
we
gonna be
get,
a concern for you?
that
or-
just so that we get the agenda out and the minutes out, so that we know what to expect to do, how to respond to stuff.
Right. I was just checking with the committee members, if there's any committee members that 5 to 6 o'clock on the second Wednesday of the month, if that interferes with anything else. Not that it's changeable. I just want to make sure that we're aware that, and understand if you can't make a committee meeting, if you can't make the committee meetings, you can still be part of the festival and doing all that stuff as well. So we're not saying if you can't do it, you're cut out. We still want you. We want y'all.
Yeah, and part of the reason that we want to keep Zoom going too is if you can't physically be there, you can Zoom into the meeting.
Right.
You can be, you know, participate that way too.
Yep,
Who is doing the minutes now?
I am.
Oh, you are.
Well, my staff is. Right.
Okay, so,
I'm taking
you're
notes and then my
transcribing
staff
the-
will take care of
okay,
it.
great, because I know Ed was doing them for a while.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ed doesn't have to do it anymore.
Here's my life.
Yeah.
All right, I think that'll do it. So somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn at 6:40, 7:40.
I'll second it.
7:44?
7:40.
Yes.
I've got 7:44.
7:44.
And Jeanette,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, here we go, we're done.